folks, JD here, and today we've got something very, very special inside this box. This is the Furibee Fire Dancer. Right, let's open this up and let's have a little look. So we've got two sets of propellers, a manual, we have a little antenna mushroom, we also have a carbon fibre spanner, and then we have this beauty. Now, as this covering on my table is fleece, I'm going to put this on cardboard. Look at this. This is the Fire Dancer, and it is a 215mm FPV racer. This thing packs a punch. Now I'm doing this a little bit backwards because I've already flown this, and the reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted to make sure that I had the propellers on correctly so I can give you correct information, and I also wanted to know exactly how this flew once again so I can give you correct information. So this is what it looks like. So we have 4 motors around the outside. We have a nice little camera. It's a 960H CCD camera at 2 megapixels at the front. It is angle poise, so you can shift it if you so wish. Then working our way down, we have the antenna and receiver. Now, it took me a while to figure out where the bind button was on the receiver. It's right there. That is exactly where it is. You need to hold that down and then turn on your transmitter with the bind button held down, and then this will bind. Now this receiver is for my Fly Sky. Now this is a B&F, so you need to have a Fly Sky or an RF Sky transmitter so that you can bind to it. Not just that, but this particular quadcopter does not come with a battery, so you have to buy that separately. Fortunately, I've got a couple of 4S and 6S battery here with the XT60 connector, so that's not going to be much of a problem. I have ordered a brand new one as mine are getting on a little bit, so just to be on the safe side, I've ordered one which will come very soon. So right at the back we have this little mount here, which is for our antenna mushroom. Now this is a Pagoda 2, and it just screws on and then until you push in all the way and then screw it on, and that's exactly how it looks. That is sturdy. It has a little bit of movement, but it isn't one that you can angle very, very successfully. So I just tend to keep it upright like that and just tend to keep it working that way. Now, as I say, you are going to have this, use this little spanner here just to unscrew all of these nuts here and then to tighten them all up when you put the propellers on. Now inside the manual it doesn't tell you which way to put them on, but it does give you a diagram which is just there. Now using that diagram and a little bit of time, I went through and I had a look and finally figured out exactly how to put these on. So what I also did then was, to make it a little bit easier, I drew a rough diagram, and this is pretty much what it looks like. So with the camera towards you, then you can fit the 5048R directly diagonal to each other, and the 504L on the left directly diagonal to each other as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this, turn the camera towards me, and then on these propellers there is a very, very faint, you're probably not going to be able to pick it up on this camera, but there are very, very faint numbers and letters there. Those are the ones that you need to use. So 5048L, one there, 5048L, one there, and then the other two we're left with are the right side, and it's as easy as that. And now you are going to have to use a little bit of pressure to get all these nuts on tight using this spanner. As it is carbon fibre spanner, you've got no worries about snapping it. At least I didn't think so when I first put these propellers on. Now, what I will say is I did manage to cut my finger just by putting these propellers on, because you have got to hold the motor and tighten up the nuts at the same time. So what I did was I've got a little neat trick for doing this, and that is if you have your fingers in between one blade like that and hold that, then you should find that when you tighten up, you're not going to cut yourself. The blade isn't going to cut into you because the blade isn't moving anywhere. Okay, yeah, that did take me like 3 different racing quadcopters and quite a few hours to figure that out. So, but it does work. And once again, hold in between there, and then you can just tighten. And what you'll find is you're not going to cut yourself. Nothing's going to come back on your finger. It is going to be just nice and easy. Now, what I would say, is you have to make sure that these motors and the propellers move at the same time. If they don't, tighten it again. Now, it is quite a bit of a thing to get all these tightened, but once it's done, oh god, that slipped a bit there. Once it's done, you should find that you are good to go. And what I do is I take this little spanner with me, and just before I fly, I just ensure that everything's nice and tight as well. Now, another little bit of safety. Now, when I did fly this, as you're going to see tomorrow in the flight video, what I would suggest and what I would say is these motors are extremely, extremely powerful. Now, when I say powerful, what I mean is that they are bound to take off a finger if you get close to this. That's my interpretation of it, because these things spin so incredibly fast. I mean, the motors themselves are brushless. They are 2306, 2400 kV motors. They really do pack a punch, and they are probably going to really do you some damage. So what I would do is just stand well away when you take off and land. When you also take off and land, you have got the option within Betaflight, when you do configure this, to have the transmitter to arm and disarm. I have that set as standard, because that way when I disarm the motors, I know I can walk up to this, pick it up, and I haven't got to worry about taking my finger off with one of these. These propellers are good. There's a little flick at the end, so these are very, very sharp and very, very pointy. So even when you aren't, even when everything is disengaged, just still be careful. Right, so to attach to Betaflight, you've got your standard USB port just in the side here. Okay, now with this version of Betaflight, we should be leaving everything standard. Everything should be already set up, but it's always good to check. So let's check the ports first. Right, that's all set. Everything else should be disabled. There's nothing else to set here. UART1 is the only thing. That's done. Configuration. Right, okay, so motor stop, I want that to arm and disarm. We've got everything else set up there. Oh, I want to change the name of the quad as well. As I'm going to change that, let's check these settings. Right, that looks to be fine. Let me just add in the name of the quad there. Let me just save and reboot. It'll disconnect and then reconnect, hopefully. There we go. So then let's jump back into configuration. I'm not sure if there's anything else in there that needs to be done. There's quite a lot of options in here, so let's just scroll down and have a little check. No, I think that's everything. OSD is enabled. Yeah, that's fine. As long as we've got the on-screen display, that's perfect. Now, all these beepers. Now, I should really be disabling some of these. Right, no, I think I'll leave that for now. Okay, the beeping is annoying, but when it's away from me and flying, you can't really hear it. So I'll just save and reboot that again. Right, now we're going to jump, I think everything's done the configuration. Right, okay, let's jump onto power and battery. That's all standard. I'm not going to mess with that at all. PID tuning as well. I'm not going to mess with PIDs. Receiver, that's all set up and that's all working fine. So I'm not going to mess with that. That is on AETR1234. Nah, right, okay. So we're going to have a little look at these modes. Going to have to change these aux settings, because the auxiliary settings, I've got 3 switches on my i6. And I want to use that i6 with all 3 switches. I can't use any more than the 3. So let's have a look. Okay, change the top one. Leave the top one at 1. Second one should be an aux 2. And then the third one, let's change to aux 3. And then let's save and reboot. Oh, sorry, just saves. Okay, fine. That should all be done. As for the motors, nope, not going to touch that. On-screen display. Right, okay, yeah, we got lots of options we can turn on here. Let's turn on the name. What else have we got here to turn on? I suppose we could look at, we got GPS speed. That doesn't really help us here because the quadcopter isn't GPS enabled. Okay, altitude, all this sounds great, but I think a lot of these features aren't going to work on this copter, so I'm not going to bother enabling them. There are a hell of a lot here to enable though. Okay, so as that's done, disarmed, I'll have that because that's always handy to have a disarmed or an armed option there just to show you on your goggles exactly what's happening there. So that is fine. I'm going to just try and see if I can reorder these a little bit, but they normally don't reorder that well, so I may have to just, I tell you what, no, I think I'll leave that exactly as it is. Next part is just to check, now that we've reordered the OSD, just to check a couple of other things. I can switch that to Imperial. I prefer to have Imperial. That should all be saved. The LED strips, 0, 1 and 2, that should all be saved. I shouldn't have to do anything with that at all. I'm not going to mess with that because I know that works perfectly. Black box, it should save to SD card. There we are, fine. So that shouldn't be a problem. And then the CLI then inside here, let's just double check, it is 3.2.0, which I think is last year's firmware. Yeah, there we go, September. That's fine. Fine for what I'm going to need it for, no problem. If you want to update it, just have a little look and check that there is an update out there. You've got 3 lights at the back here. Now these LEDs, they change colour when you bind, they change colour when you arm and when you disarm the motors, and they change colour as well when you use your right throttle stick to change direction. You will notice if you push left or if you push right, the corresponding lights change to let you know exactly which way you're pushing and which way you're pulling. Now, as for the battery, as I said, I did use my own battery. Now this one is a little bit older. It's a standard 4S battery, and this fitted quite nicely underneath the bottom, and with the XT60 connector, just plugged straight in. And I had, flight time wise, I had a fair whack out of it, as you're going to see tomorrow. But all in all, once the battery is underneath here and in securely, I didn't have to worry about balance. It balanced itself really, really well. I also used my headset with it as well and got some excellent video back from this. The transmission relay is excellent. So that's another thing I can say as well, or at least I found it excellent. If the picture didn't break up, and yeah, that's all I can ever ask for when FPV flying. So that is the quadcopter. Another couple of things to be saying about it as well. The 4S battery takes about 2 hours to charge, but bear in mind when you do buy this, you are going to have to buy a battery, as that is separate. The propeller style is 50-48, the tri-blades. You can get these. What I would do, because you get a spare pack as well, just buy another couple of packs. You may need them, you may not, but it's always good to have more. Betaflight Furibee version is 3.2.0. Image transmission range is 1.5 kilometers. And as I said, this is the FlySky receiver, but you can choose at the time of purchase to have a different receiver. That is the quadcopter. Let's move that to one side, and as I say, you get another lot of propellers. You get a little manual. Now inside this manual, it shows you the different 48 channel frequencies that you can use. It shows you how to bind to your transmitter, and it shows you the general specifications of the quadcopter as well. All very good. Would be nice to have the propeller stylings on there as well, but to be honest, it was quite easy to work out from that very detailed photo. So this is everything. This is the quad. But how much does it weigh is the question. How much does it weigh? Does it come under the 250 gram limit? Honestly, let's test it without a battery. 328 without a battery, so no, it doesn't come under the 250 gram limit. And then once you attach a battery, in my case the 4S one that I used in the flight, oh, there we go, let's pop this little battery in. I know the connectors are on the wrong way, I just want to get a weight. That's it for the minute. So with the battery on there as well, you're looking at 445 grams. This is a heavy, heavy bird, but with these motors, I tell you what folks, this thing absolutely rips through the air. Right, so 445 is your flying weight. There we go. And as you can see, with the battery underneath there as well, it sits up. It's pretty darn stable. Yeah, can't ask for any better, to be honest with you. Alright, so that is the quadcopter. Those are the accessories. Don't forget the battery is separate, and you need to have your own transmitter as well when you come to purchase this. So all in all, this is what you get. You get your quadcopter, you get your manual, you get your carbon fibre spanner, very useful, and you get a little manual there as well. So there we are folks, thank you ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers, I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time my friends, happy flying.